everyone. Today on Good Morning Maine, fire crews had their hands full over the weekend. One wildfire in particular was off Route 9 in Clifton.
Well, the latest coming up, plus Governor Janet Mills signs the $500 million supplemental budget plan into law. We'll have the details on that as well.
And changes are coming to the Whoopie Pie Festival when it comes to parking and traffic. We'll bring you that story as well. Good morning and welcome to Good Morning Maine. I'm Janessa Bishop.
And I'm Craig Colson. Thank you for joining us on this Monday morning. We'll have all the day's news coming up. Hope you had a nice weekend, everyone. Hope you had a nice weekend
too.
It was great
weather for it.
Yeah, it turned out nice. Kind of off to a wet start for the work week, though. It's raining out there right now, and it looks like kind of a gloomy day ahead. But don't worry, it's going to be warming up nicely this week.
Too.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to it.
We'll turn things over to meteorologist Devin Biggs.
And thank you very much, Craig and Janessa. Happy Monday. Your first weather forecast brought to you by Old Town Redemption Center. Now offering a 10% bonus on your returnables and a monthly $100 drawing. Alrighty, here we go. We have a small craft advisory that is up until 8 a.m. as we head towards your Tuesday. We'll be watching for some active surf that will be occurring until about that time frame. Moving forward, we have rain that's moving in this morning for the northwest and going toward the south and east. The lightning tracker is on. Thankfully, no lightning occurring, so just a gentle, sometimes moderate rainfall occurring. As we do zoom things out, here's that area low pressure that is tracking off towards the east, and we will be watching for some rainfall and some breaks occurring. So later on this morning, we'll be watching for the rainfall and some gusty winds with more rain occurring this afternoon in the parts of the evening time frame. Notice by tomorrow, still some clouds lingering. As for the gusty winds reaching up to about 25 to even 30 miles per hour today, getting close to 40 miles per hour along the coast, and we'll keep the winds going this afternoon as well as in the evening time frame, and the winds slowly backing off as we head towards tomorrow. Your hourly forecast moving forward for today, notice we'll have the clouds and the rain backing off for a bit but picking up as we head towards the afternoon period. Your full 5-day forecast is coming up. Craig and Janessa.
Thank you, Devin. We'll see you a little later on. Well, first this morning, fire crews were kept busy over the weekend with a number of bad fires, including in Blue Hill, where 2 people have been displaced following a fire at a home. The Blue Hill Fire Department responded to a structure fire on Kingdom Road at around 8 p.m. On Saturday, upon arrival, crews found a fully involved 2-story residence with flames coming out the windows. According to Blue Hill Fire Chief John Chapman, the 2 residents were evacuated and did not sustain any injuries, but all of their belongings were destroyed in that fire. Chief Chapman says the structure's metal roof made it challenging for firefighters to attack the flames. He says the home is a total loss.
Difficult situation. Somebody's lost everything they own. That's the hardest part. There is a pretty good support network for the individuals here. We did call the Red Cross to make sure that they were advised. We're very fortunate in this area that we have a firefighter that's actually with the Red Cross. So we were actually able to start that ball rolling right here from the scene.
We spoke with the homeowner off camera, and he shared that their 2 dogs are safe, but 1 cat is missing. The Department of Public Safety on Sunday deemed the fire as accidental and was caused by careless disposal of smoking materials. No injuries were reported. A GoFundMe has been created to assist the couple. That information can be found on our website at foxbangor.com.
Well, meanwhile, a Palmyra family also lost their home to a fire on Saturday. Crews responded to a travel camper converted into a woodworking shop there on Warren Hill Road. It was heavily involved in flames when firefighters arrived. It was around 11 o'clock when they pulled up to the scene, and the fire had already spread to an adjacent home. No one was home at the time, but there was a cat in the residence that the Department of Public Safety said still remains unaccounted for.
Us in another town were actually out at training, so manpower was a little low. So we had Corinna, Newport, Pittsfield, Canaan, St. Albans, and ourselves.
The Department of Public Safety says despite investigators being unable to determine an origin and cause of the fire, there is no indication of any suspicious activity, and the fire is classified as undetermined.
Fire crews also had their hands full with a fast-moving wildfire in Clifton. According to the Eddington Fire Department, it was just before noon on Sunday when they were called to the fire off of Route 9. The Grass and Woods fire was growing in size, prompting a call for help from Holden firefighters and the Maine Forest Service. They spent the next couple of hours using hand tools and other equipment to fight the fire as Forest Service helicopter dropped water from above. The fire burned a little less than 10 acres and no injuries are reported. Fire crews continue to watch for hot spots throughout the night.
A lot of fires lately.
There are.
Yeah, be that way till things green up a little bit.
Yes.
Well, meanwhile, in other news, Maine State Police are investigating a suspicious death in Brunswick. According to spokesperson Shannon Moss, the Bath Police Department responded at around 6:30 Friday night to a reported disturbance there. It was then that a male subject identified as 45-year-old Tanner Dostie of Brunswick made statements to the officers that prompted further investigation.
That investigation led them to a Brunswick residence where a deceased male was located. Dostie was charged with murder and transported to the Cumberland County Jail. The body of the deceased was transported to the Office of the Chief Medical Examiner for an autopsy and identification. Authorities say that investigation remains ongoing. Well, in other news, a Maine mom is suing a Penobscot County hospital and 2 providers for alleged medical malpractice.
She claims they mishandled her daughter's painful joint condition. Our Callie Warren has more.
Many 7-year-old girls love to play outside, run around, participate in sports, but according to her mother, 7-year-old Kensley Haven didn't have that opportunity without constant pain and discomfort. Her mother, Elizabeth Haven Sirami, says it's the fault of the healthcare providers who were meant to help her. This is Kensley Haven, who faces a possible lifetime of pain, according to her mother, who's suing the Millinocket Regional Hospital for alleged medical malpractice. According to the lawsuit, Sirami says that her daughter Kensley suffered since birth with a condition called developmental dysplasia of the hip, or DDH. It means her hip sockets failed to develop normally and stabilize. In a complaint filed in Penobscot County Superior Court on Tuesday, Sirami says both of Kensley's hips were dislocated until she was almost 5 years old. It resulted in pain, delayed milestones, and an abnormal gait, which she says her daughter's healthcare providers, now defendants in this case, failed to diagnose and treat. Sirami says that if these defendants had recognized Kensley's condition when she was younger, she might have been able to avoid multiple invasive surgeries, increased risk for a degenerative hip disease, and likely lifelong physical impairment. The complaint she filed details multiple instances in which Kensley's healthcare providers, family nurse practitioner Melody Hamilton and Dr. Edward Dunstan, allegedly failed to recognize her hip dysplasia. The complaint reads in part, quote, "Clear warning signs of DDH were repeatedly documented, but misunderstood or unappreciated, improperly evaluated, and ultimately not acted upon until the window for effective treatment had closed," end quote. Sirami is seeking damages for medical expenses, physical suffering, emotional stress, and more. Additionally, she's suing for Kensley's permanent impairment, pain, suffering, distress, loss of earning capacity, and other issues. We reached out to the hospital for comment, but have yet to hear back at this time. Sirami declined to comment, and her legal team has not responded to our request. In studio, Callie Warren, ABC 7 and Fox 22 News.
In other news this morning, Governor Janet Mills signed the $500 million supplemental budget on Friday. The budget includes a 2% tax on Mainers who make more than $1 million, $300 relief checks for qualifying Mainers, and it also makes free community college permanent. It also makes the program last into the future. Mills signed the budget during a visit to Eastern Maine Community College.
Everything that this campus and the 6 other campuses offer are critical needs for our people, our families, our economy, and critical needs for the young people who need to find a good job, need to find a good career that fits them, that suits them. And that's what I've seen in touring the community college campuses all over this state. People so excited to be where they are, learn what they're learning, and do what they're doing.
Meanwhile, some House Republicans shared their perspectives about the budget signing in their weekly radio address. House Republican leader Billy Bob Falkingham and Assistant Leader Katrina Smith said after 8 years of record-breaking revenues, Democrats raised taxes on working families last year to cover massive Maine care shortfalls, and they claim they're doing it again.
After targeting low-income earners, now they're raising taxes again, this time targeting high earners. But here's the reality. Those taxpayers are the most mobile. They can leave. And when they do, Maine loses jobs, investment, and future revenue.
Well, meanwhile, onto the campaign front now, State Senator Jim Libby has dropped out of the race to be Maine's next governor. Libby shared his decision in a Facebook post saying, quote, as he did not qualify for clean elections, financial support, I have determined my campaign is no longer viable.
Maine Ethics Commission staff found Libby did not submit the necessary number of valid qualifying contributions. Candidates are also required to submit proof that contributors are registered to vote in Maine. The Maine Ethics Commission says Libby did not do that for a significant number of his contributors. Well, Americans generate an estimated 3 billion sharps in in-home injection waste, and one website is trying to encourage responsible and safe disposal. MyOldMeds.com is a website that helps people find drug and sharps disposal resources, and they've just launched a Maine-specific page to provide patients with adequate disposal resources. The page advises sharps disposal in sealed and labeled plastic containers. It also provides a locator of drop-off locations for sharps and other prescription medications. National Prescription Drug Take-Back Day is Saturday, April 25th, but not all take-back sites accept sharps. For a link to those resources and more information, you can visit this story on our website at foxbangor.com.
Plans for a new town dock in Bucksport are moving forward. According to Community and Economic Development Director Rich Rotella, the current 315-foot wooden seasonal structure is slated for replacement with a 400-foot concrete year-round structure. And that replacement project officially went out to bid on Friday. He says one of the many benefits the new dock will have is it will be compliant with the Americans with Disabilities Act.
The goal is to get through the bid process. Work cannot begin until November 15th in the water due to regulations.
The project to install the new dock began in 2019 and is funded with around $4 million in congressionally directed spending through Senator Susan Collins' office and the Department of Housing and Urban Development. Rotella says the goal is for the new dock to be ready by spring of next year.
Well, the time now is 6:12. Coming up next on Good Morning Maine, there's a walking tour of Bangor that brings light to Black history. We'll share that story ahead.
But first, another check of that forecast. A rainy day ahead today with highs near 58 degrees. Early rain tonight, then the clouds will start moving out, the lows dropping down to the mid-40s. Tomorrow looks like a partly cloudy day with a chance of rain in the afternoon. Look at the highs, though.
Oh, my goodness.
Around 67 degrees. Back with more right after this.
Jenny Garth. America fell in love with her on 90210. Now this morning, she's opening up about the personal challenges she's faced in a new book. Depression, heartbreaking miscarriages, dealing with divorce, and going through rehab. This morning on Good Morning America.
Got old metal and junk cars? Turn that clutter into cash at Daddy and Daughters. We make recycling easy, fast, and fair. From Skowhegan to Dover Foxcroft, from Troy to Lee, you can trust our certified scales and friendly service, offering top prices for junk vehicles in Maine. Whether you drop off or we pick up, Daddy and Daughters covers central and eastern Maine. Come see us at one of our 4 locations and watch your scrap pay off. Daddy and Daughters turn scrap into cash.
Pat's Pizza in Holden is not just a restaurant that serves delicious food and pizza. They also have an adjacent party and event room. Consider having your birthday or office party at Pat's Pizza. They have a pro shop and a beautiful 9-hole golf course opening in the spring. Pat's Pizza, Holden.
Every year, communities recognize outstanding service with the Spirit of America Foundation Tribute. Do you know a local person or group that goes above and beyond for others? Nominate them today by contacting a select person, city or town councilor. Help honor those who make a difference where you live. For more information, visit spiritofamerica.website.
Three people from all around the globe became U.S. citizens on Friday. The ceremony was held inside the Margaret Chase Smith Federal Building right here in Bangor. Rayon Kirby says his biggest challenge was understanding the English language and learning U.S. history. But as the 21-year-old told us, he's proud to say he speaks fluent English, and he explained he's looking forward to pursuing an education in exercise science and also getting into the field of sports.
It's never too late. Just try and give it your best, and don't be afraid.
Well, on top of being involved in the world of sports, Kirby also says he has aspirations to play college football and someday make it to the NFL draft as well.
Well, congratulations. Yeah. Meanwhile, the Maine Whoopie Pie Festival is a beloved over Foxcroft tradition. Last year, around 10,000 people came to enjoy the festivities, which locals say is excellent for the economy, but can be a headache when it comes to traffic. Patrick Myers is an organizer for the Whoopie Pie Festival. He says the small volunteer team of folks directing parking and traffic last year were well over their heads. To get more assistance this year, Myers is seeking local organizations to help out with manpower. In exchange, participating organizations will receive $1,000 donations.
This year, the Essex Street Bridge down by the fairgrounds is closed. To get some more help making sure we could get the cars in off the street so we weren't tying up traffic so much around town.
Interested organizations are asked to call the Center Theater and ask for Patrick Myers. The festival will take place on June 13th.
Well, there's an annual walking tour of Bangor that brings light to history hiding in plain sight. And on Friday, our Doug Banks spoke with one organizer who said he wants it to become a more common occurrence.
This 2-minute news story only scratches the surface of what lies beneath us.
Just trying to accept the fact that the possibilities are there and opening up the idea of it is something that I don't think has really been presented to the community at whole.
Next month, Black Travel Maine will be hosting a Black History walking tour of downtown Bangor.
The Black community in this area, it's not necessarily a segregated area.
The tour will traverse time and landmarks, taking participants across the Kenduskeag Stream toward the Columbia Street Baptist Church.
A lot of activity for the Black community happened there. Then we'll move on to Hammond Street. We'll talk about Hammond Street Congregational Church. That church where the Anti-Slavery Society used to hold functions back in the 1830s when they first got together. And then from there we'll move back into downtown Bangor and talk about the Underground Railroads underneath Pickering Square. The oral history behind that, moving slaves through the Underground Railroad, across the river over to the Holyoke House, which ties in the North to Freedom statue, where they were stationed until it was safe for them to continue their ground travel towards Canada.
For Bangor area guide David Payne, the tour goes beyond Bangor's brick facade.
It really is a family involvement. A lot of my research when I started, I talked with family, a couple of them fortunate for me, they were born in the 1800s and I was able to get the time to talk with them. Others that have since passed on shared stories that weren't asked through the generations. And I'm able to carry that forward.
The tour will be held on Saturday, May 2nd, and it'll start at 1 o'clock in front of the Black Matriarch sign in front of the Bangor Public Library. To learn more, visit blacktravelmaine.com.
The biggest thing for me with the tour is just recognizing what used to be here and how everything used to come together.
In Bangor, Doug Banks, ABC 7 and Fox 22 News.
I think that's great. It's important to keep those stories alive.
Certainly a lot of local history.
Yeah.
Well, the time now is 6:18. After the break, peace talks between the U.S. and Iran have failed as the U.S. Navy prepares to impose a blockade at the Strait of Hormuz.
We'll have the story coming up. Plus, students at Husson University who plan to go into investigative careers had the chance to solve some cold cases. That and more straight ahead on Good Morning Maine.
Paramount Paving, Maine's go-to for all your paving and seal coating. Paramount Paving offers commercial and residential paving and seal coating services throughout eastern and central Maine. Give us a call for a free estimate today. Paramount Paving. When it comes to paving, we are Paramount.
Davis Brothers Furniture is expanding. At Davis Brothers, we've always strived to stand out from the rest, and we are now proud to offer flooring for your home, featuring both carpeting and luxury vinyl flooring. We even have an installer in-house with over 30 years of experience. Come see the reason people have been traveling from all over the state and beyond to Davis Brothers Furniture in Guilford for decades. Davis Brothers Furniture, deliberately different, delivering statewide.
Paramount Paving, Maine's go-to for all your paving and seal coating. Paramount Paving offers commercial and residential paving and seal coating services throughout eastern and central Maine. Give us a call for a free estimate today. Paramount Paving. When it comes to paving, we are Paramount.
A unique program at Husson University is giving students the chance to step into the world of criminal justice by working on cases that still need answers.
Our Alexa Kennedy has the story.
Students pursuing investigative careers are getting the opportunity to work on real-life cold cases through the Husson Cold Case Internship Program. The hands-on program brings together students in pre-law, forensic science, and criminal justice to analyze and potentially resolve cold cases provided by state police and the Attorney General's office.
We really push the methodology of experiential learning. And what better way for students to get experience on what they're going to be doing once they leave here than giving them some practice at it while they are here.
Students review evidence, build witness lists, and explore new investigative options using modern techniques. Pelletier says even small steps matter.
I would make the argument that anytime you look at a case, you're going to make some type of progress. It just doesn't, you might not know what that looks like.
Participating students say this interactive program gave them an advantage when preparing to enter the workforce.
I feel like this has helped me get my firsthand real-world experience before I'm put out into the real world and graduate, which I feel like has given me an opportunity that not many people get to say they have.
It truly brings your education to life. I wanted to do something meaningful. I'm really big about helping other people, and it gave me an opportunity to really help the victims and their families and give them some sort of sense of closure.
At the end of each semester, students present their findings, hoping their work can help move cases closer to resolution. In Bangor, Alexa Kennedy, ABC 7 and Fox 22 News.
Good for them.
Yeah, definitely seems like a hands-on class.
Yeah.
Well, now let's get a full look at our forecast with the meteorologist, Devin Biggs.
Alrighty, Craig and Janessa, thank you very much. Your full weather forecast brought to you by Old Town Redemption Center, now offering a 10% bonus on your returnables and a monthly $100 drawing. Alrighty, here we go. There's that small craft advisory that is posted until 8 a.m. as we head towards your Tuesday along the coast, watching for some active surf that will be occurring with an area low pressure that will be passing through. We're seeing that starting to develop with 4-foot wave heights, so it's not terrible out there. We may see more active surf occurring farther out towards sea. Still not active just quite yet, but we may see it picking up more later on. But in the meantime, we just have rainfall occurring this morning, tracking from the west and going toward the east. No lightning occurring, so that is good news. And overall, it will be a gentle rainfall that will be occurring with rising temperatures taking place today. As we do zoom things out, there's that area low pressure right there tracking off towards the east, so temperatures will be on the warming trend moving forward. So futurecasts as we move forward today, notice we'll track this rain off towards the north and east, the wind picking up too. More rain this afternoon, starting to back off into the evening time frame. Some clouds breaking up, but as we head towards tomorrow, still some clouds lingering. And even as we head towards Tuesday afternoon, we'll still watch for some more rain showers that will be on the way, possibly some thunderstorms and a few spots too as we head towards Tuesday evening. As for the rain chances, I'm just going to run this through as we head towards Wednesday morning, around a ½ inch to 3/4 of an inch in some spots before we're all finished up. Some other areas just a little bit less, and we could definitely use the rainfall too, with a good part, if not all of the state still in some form of drought. So for today, rain likely, windy, highs in the upper 50s, south wind at around 25 miles per hour. Overnight, we have mid-40s. Here we go. Rain showers early, then decreasing clouds and a southwest wind at around 20 miles per hour. Tomorrow, we have upper 60s, partly cloudy, afternoon rain showers and a light and variable wind. Let's check out your extended forecast brought to you by Old Town Redemption Center. Mostly cloudy for your Wednesday with highs in the mid-60s. Rain chances for your Thursday with highs in the low 60s. And then some more rain Friday, highs in the mid-60s.
when the unexpected happens.
Really?
We'll get you running again, uninterrupted. Together, we're United. United Ag and Turf, your local John Deere dealer.
Lights, camera, cheese! The Cheese House is looking for its next star, and it could be you. If you're 21 or older, enter for your chance to appear in the next commercial. Stop by the Cheese House at 5 Pike Drive in Fairfield to enter. While you're there, browse their huge selection of glassware and 420 specialty foods. But we have the cheese! Remember, entries are happening in person at the Cheese House, 5 Pike Drive in Fairfield. Bring your personality, bring your smile, and we have the cheese.
Hey! That ought to do it.
Who hurt you?
Keep your feet on the ground, they said. So many people have told you you can't. They say you don't listen. So you don't listen to them. You rise to your moment. It feels like every idea is crystal clear. It feels like every line, every angle is perfect. It feels like you are at the top of your game. And with Fidium Fiber Internet, you are.
It feels like Fidium.
You're watching ABC 7 Bangor.
Welcome back, everyone. The U.S. and Iran failed to reach a peace deal this weekend, with those talks stalled over several key issues, including Iran refusing to abandon its nuclear program. And now action today by the U.S. military could be seen by Iran as a break in the 2-week ceasefire.
ABC's Lionel Moyes has the latest from New York.
Oil prices on the rise as the U.S. Navy prepares to impose a blockade in the critical Strait of Hormuz after peace talks failed to reach a deal.
I don't care if they come back or not. If they don't come back, I'm fine. And remember, their promise was that they were going to open the Hormuz Strait. They didn't do it. They lied.
Vice President Vance, emerging from 21 hours of talks, said Iran would not commit to giving up its nuclear program. Iran's foreign minister claims Iran engaged in good faith, but encountered maximalism, shifting goalposts, and blockade. President Trump says the U.S. blockade in the strait will begin this morning, posting any Iranian who fires at us or at peaceful vessels will be blown to hell.
We're putting on a complete blockade. We're not going to let Iran make money on selling oil.
The Iranians cannot afford to lose 2 million barrels a day of oil revenue. So the U.S. is going to give the Iranians a couple days to think about it. Do you really want to call the U.S.'s bluff and attack U.S. forces and restart this war?
Iran warning any military vessel approaching the strait will violate the current 2-week ceasefire and will be met with severe force. Iran says this video shows a standoff Saturday with a U.S. destroyer.
This is Coalition Warship 121, engaged in transit passage. No challenges attended to you.
The blockade could also put more pressure on the U.S. economy. The gas index rising by 21%, the highest monthly increase on record.
So do you believe the price of oil and gas will be lower before the midterm elections?
I hope so. I mean, I think so. It could be. It could be or the same or maybe a little bit higher, but it should be around the same.
President Trump is also now threatening new tariffs on China after reports that China may have sent weapons to Iran. Lionel Moyes, ABC News, New York.
The other big story this morning, sexual misconduct allegations against Congressman Eric Swalwell, now forcing him to suspend his campaign for governor of California. This morning, after mounting pressure, not just from Republicans, but fellow Democrats as well, Congressman Eric Swalwell is suspending his campaign for California governor amid those allegations of sexual assault and misconduct. 4 women have accused him of sexual assault and inappropriate conduct. That's according to the San Francisco Chronicle and CNN. Republicans are now planning to force a vote to expel him from Congress, and some Democrats say they'll support it. Expelling him from Congress would require approval from 2/3 of the House. A vote could come this week.
Now to another frightening security incident at the home of a CEO who's one of the most influential figures in artificial intelligence.
ABC's Sophie Flay has more.
For the second time in 2 days, a security scare at the home of billionaire artificial intelligence CEO Sam Altman. Around 2 a.m. Sunday, San Francisco police say someone fired gunshots from a car hitting the OpenAI CEO's home. 2 suspects were later arrested, police say, with multiple firearms. Just 2 days earlier, a Molotov cocktail was thrown at Altman's home. The suspect in that case was arrested at the company's headquarters, allegedly threatening to burn down the building.
Even things like pathological liar in great duplication across many sources.
Late last week, journalists Ronan Farrow and Andrew Morantz profiled Altman for The New Yorker, describing him as having a relentless will to power, quoting a board member who accuses the CEO of a sociopathic lack of concern for the consequences of deceiving others.
And he started to get the feeling, as we quote him in the piece, saying, "I don't think Sam is the guy who should have his finger on the button."
Altman responded, admitting to a, quote, bunch of mistakes, but calling the article incendiary, saying, "I am awake in the middle of the night and pissed and thinking that I have underestimated the power of words and narratives." Amid growing concern for uncertainty over how artificial intelligence could transform the economy, Altman posted a photo of his husband and baby, writing, "I believe technological progress can make the future unbelievably good for your family and mine. While we have that debate, we should de-escalate the rhetoric and tactics and try to have fewer explosions in fewer homes, figuratively and literally." Sophie Flay, ABC News, New York.
Well, coming up on the second half of the newscast, a women's empowerment event took place in Bangor, organized by She's an Asset.
You got to learn some self-defense things.
I sure did.
All right, we'll get to see Janessa in action coming up on Good Morning Maine.
Find your flavor at Black Sheep Restaurant in Sullivan. Breakfast.
Seasons Lounge and Banquet Center. We're just 1 block from Hollywood Slots in Bangor and are now under new management with a new chef and a completely redesigned menu. Come grab a drink and enjoy a meal with us. Fans, food, fun. Seasons.
Your call is important to us.
You've heard this before, too many times. Tired of being customer 45978? Yeah, we would be too. Speed means fast uploads, no lag, and 0 buffering. But it also means calling you back, showing up on time, and treating you like a person, not a problem. So whether you're working, streaming, gaming, or all 3, it is time to make the switch to a provider that actually tries. Go NetSpeed. Service isn't dead. It just moved local.
With over 30 years of experience, Patriot General Contractors knows how to get your home renovation project done right. Our certified contractors can help you build, redesign, or finish the project of your dreams. Check out Facebook page for reviews and visit patriotgeneralcontractors.com to schedule your quote today. Patriot General Contractors, redesigning your properties for the future.
My name is Rebecca Babrod, and I'm studying my master's in social work at the University of Maine. After high school, I went to college in upstate New York, but then got involved with life and family, so I had a college education but no degree. When I first thought about going back to school, it seemed really intimidating. One of the great things about an online program is that you can combine studying as part of your day. I'm actually studying right now. It's such a great feeling to have made myself important in the process and to continue my education.
Seasons Lounge and Banquet Center. We're just 1 block from Hollywood Slots in Bangor and are now under new management with a new chef and a completely redesigned menu. Come grab a drink and enjoy a meal with us. Fans, food, fun. Seasons.
Welcome back, everyone. I forgot to put the date in. Today is April 13th, 2026. I had to think about it for a second there. This is also National Make Lunch Count Day.
Whether you have a sandwich or a salad or even a smoothie, this is a day to make sure you get the most important fuel boost. It wasn't until the 1830s that eating lunch became a regular thing between breakfast and dinner, but now it's considered an important meal in order to get through the day. You can celebrate this holiday by organizing a group lunch with your coworkers, buying a lunch for someone else, or simply putting a little effort in to making sure that you eat a tasty and healthy lunch. lunch today.
I like the sound of that.
Yeah, me too.
Now that the weather's getting nice, you might pack a lunch someday and head down to like the waterfront or something.
Have a little picnic.
Enjoying it. Maybe not today.
Nice. Yeah, it's a little rainy.
Tomorrow will be nicer.
Yes.
But. All right, let's get to history. It was on this date in 1796 the United States received its first elephant. Oh. There was no elephants here before that date.
Interesting.
It was purchased in India for $450 and then sold in New York for $10,000. In 1861 on this date, Fort Sumter in South Carolina fell to Confederate forces during the first battle of the Civil War. In 1873, members of a pro-white paramilitary group attacked members of a black state militia that was defending a courthouse in Colfax, Louisiana. 3 white men and as many as 150 black men were killed in what is now known as the Colfax Massacre. The attackers were made up of Ku Klux Klan members and former Confederate soldiers and was considered one of the worst cases of Reconstruction-era violence following the Civil War.
And in 1943, President Franklin D. Roosevelt dedicated the Jefferson Memorial in Washington on the 200th anniversary of his birth. And in 1976, the U.S. reintroduced the $2 bill during the country's 200th anniversary.
Nobody liked them.
No?
No, they didn't.
I think they're pretty cool.
I think they're cool too.
Yeah.
For some reason, though, people didn't like them. And so eventually they took them out of circulation. I think they came back for a while. I'm not sure, but yeah, it was kind of a flop.
And in 1997, Tiger Woods was 21 years old when he became the youngest golfer to win the Masters tournament in Georgia. And in 2019, the world's largest airplane had its first flight in the Mojave Desert in California. The Stratus launch was built to launch rockets into orbit while flying at a high altitude. Its wingspan was bigger than a football field and had landing gear equipped with 28 wheels.
Wow, that's a massive plane.
That is.
Yeah. All right, moving on to birthdays now. They include actor Ron Perlman, who is 76 years old today. He's played like in a lot of scary movies. He's been in a ton of things. Musician Max Weinberg, he was with the E Street Band with Bruce Springsteen. He is 75. And actress Allison Williams is 38 years old today. Happy birthday to you also, if your birthday is today. I think Max Weinberg, he was also the drummer for, was it Conan O'Brien's show?
Oh, I don't
One
know.
of those shows, too. So,
yeah, well, I have to, honestly, I'll be honest, I don't know any of those people.
I know. I didn't think you would.
I need to research, and then next show we'll come back, and I'll have some more knowledge.
I try to fit in some younger people, too, with some of these other people, but some days there's just nobody to report on.
Well, we'll turn things over to meteorologist Devin Biggs.
And thank you very much, Craig and Janessa. Happy Monday. Your first weather forecast brought to you by Old Town Redemption Center. Now offering a 10% bonus on your returnables and a monthly $100 drawing. Alrighty, here we go. We have a small craft advisory that is up until 8 a.m. as we head towards your Tuesday. We'll be watching for some active surf that will be occurring until about that time frame. Moving forward, we have rain that's moving in this morning from the northwest and going toward the south and east. The lightning tracker is on. Thankfully, no lightning occurring, so just a gentle, sometimes moderate rainfall occurring. As we do zoom things out, here's that area low pressure that is tracking off towards the east, and we will be watching for some rainfall and some breaks occurring. So later on this morning, we'll be watching for the rainfall and some gusty winds with more rain occurring this afternoon in the parts of the evening time frame. Notice by tomorrow, still some clouds lingering. As for the gusty winds reaching up to about 25 to even 30 miles per hour today, getting close to 40 miles per hour along the coast, and we'll keep the winds going this afternoon as well as in the evening time frame, and the winds slowly backing off as we head towards tomorrow. Your hourly forecast moving forward for today, notice we'll have the clouds and the rain backing off for a bit but picking up as we head towards the afternoon period. Your full 5-day forecast is coming up. Craig and Janessa?
And Janessa knows who Ron Perlman is now.
I do. And we looked up Allison Williams. Yep. They're both in some scary movies.
Yeah.
So.
Ron Perlman's known for Hellboy and a lot of other things like that.
Stuff. So. And she was in Get Out, which is a really popular one. But now I know.
Today will be a good movie day if you want to
it would be.
Go get caught up. All right, well, meanwhile, a new event was recently held in Bangor. She's an Asset is a women's empowerment class led by Autumn Schmidt.
Participants dive into workshops and self-defense class, all aimed at unlocking their inner potential. I had the chance to step away from the news desk and take part in that action.
What are we doing today? Why are you here?
We're an asset.
You're an asset. Yes, you are. Tell me more.
Taking up more space.
Taking up more space. Yes. What else? What are we doing? Anybody know? We're growing.
Women of all ages gathered in Bangor to unlock their inner potential with Autumn Schmidt, founder of the company She's an Asset. That motto followed participants throughout the day as they were asked to reflect and journal on their life. Schmidt encourages all women to take what they learned from the class and apply it to their everyday lives. A bakery owner expressed her experience with the class.
I mean, the confidence thing, the empowerment that I, need to feel in myself really will help not only me but my business grow.
Participants not only brainstormed with each other, they also got to experience a self-defense class with Schmidt, who is a police officer and black belt.
Strike. Breathe out. Strike. Good.
The class gets you up and moving while learning important skills. Someone else in attendance was Autumn's mother, someone who's seen her build this company from the ground up.
Just overjoyed when you watch your child succeed.
Well, if you're looking to become more powerful, whether that's in your career or your personal life, you can find Schmidt at she'sanasset.com or on social media at, of course, She's an Asset. In Bangor, Janessa Bishop for ABC7 and Fox 22 News.
How's it for you? Do you feel empowered now?
I do,
yeah.
Yes. It was so much fun, and everything that and the guest speakers that she had on, I learned so much from them. So if she's ever up in Bangor again, definitely recommend getting some tickets.
Yeah, we'll have to stay in touch and we'll let you know.
Absolutely.
Yeah, all right.
Well, still to come here this morning, Max Sturm with sports.
Don't go away.
Ready, set, let's go! Come to the open house at Greenway Equipment Sales in Ellsworth this Saturday and get geared up for the season. Celebrate spring and save on John Deere equipment. Take advantage of Deere season financing on John Deere compact utility and lawn tractors, Z-Tracks, and Gators. Save hundreds on tractor attachments. Get 10% off all in-stock parts. And grab one-day-only Greenway dollars for even more savings. The Smith Brothers invite you to their open house celebration this Saturday at Greenway Equipment Sales in Ellsworth.
Welcome to outdoor living. Welcome to Granville Stone and Hearth. Goodness knows we've been cooped up long enough. Make plans now to enjoy the outside of your home too. Come to Granville and see, touch, and imagine what you can do in your backyard. Light a path, light a fire, grill a meal, sit a bit. It's all in stock. There's a staycation right outside your door with expert help from Granville, one of the largest outdoor living suppliers in Maine. Granville Stone and Hearth, Main Road, Holden.
My name is Rebecca Babrod, and I'm studying my master's in social work at the University of Maine. After high school, I went to college in upstate New York, but then got involved with life and family, so I had a college education but no degree. When I first thought about going back to school, it seemed really intimidating.
One of the great things about an online program is that you can combine studying as part of your day.
I'm actually studying right now.
It's such a great feeling to have made myself important in the process and to continue my education.
ABC7 and Fox 22's Jack Webb named Maine's Sportscaster of the Year by the National Sports Media Association.
Welcome back in, folks. Last fall, former NASCAR driver Ricky Craven returned to Maine and purchased the former Speedway 95. With races beginning this summer, I went trackside with Craven to talk about his inspiration to revive the sport of racing in Maine.
It's going to be a drag race. Wow! They touch! Craven!
Much is known about Ricky Craven, the race car driver. The former NASCAR Cup Series racer spent 25 years behind the wheel of the world's fastest cars and competed in the world's most iconic events. Following his racing career and a 14-year stint as an analyst at ESPN, Craven is beginning what he calls his third life, being a track owner.
It's mostly my purpose. I mean, there's everything else in life, and then there's racing, and racing has been front and center. 25 years behind the wheel, that blossomed into a 14-year career as an analyst. Much like that, this just arrived, and we capitalized on it. So here we are, track owner.
The Maine-born driver purchased the former Speedway 95 back in August. Craven says his inspiration for adopting the racetrack goes all the way back to his childhood.
Speedway 95 was as important to me in my childhood as the Daytona 500, even more so, because my heroes raced there. As I grew in the sport, not everybody acknowledged Bangor, Maine, or Herman, Maine, as being motorsports mecca.
Craven has since set out to change that narrative. Creating a strong racing hub in central Maine will require a lot of time, effort, and of course, money. A challenge Craven says he's approaching the same way he did in his racing career.
We're not going to take a backseat to anybody. We want to be a premier facility. We want to have an extraordinary show. And we want people that come here to feel like they can't wait to get back.
Craven's full vision for the track will take several years to come to fruition. But he says he's already seeing the excitement start to ramp up in the Pine Tree State.
The early innings, they're not how we want to be remembered. We want to be remembered for the end product. And it'll take 3 or 4 years. And what's most impressive is the enthusiasm from the competitors, the customers, the advertising, the business sector here, the advertising market. The enthusiasm has been over the top.
The first official race here will be on June 6th. So from Ricky Craven Speedway, presented by Bar Harbor Bank and Trust, I'm Max Sturm, ABC 7 and Fox 22 Sports. Such a cool experience being able to go out on the track, take some laps with him, and pick his brain about his career and his vision for the track. This weekend, both the Husson men's and women's lacrosse teams played in front of their home crowd. So we'll bring you those games now, starting with the men. What a game we had here. SUNY Delhi and the Broncos make the long trip to take on the Eagles at Boucher Field. Getting things started early are the Broncos. Kyle Moore dishes to Anthony McLaughlin. He lays it low in traffic and scores the first goal of the game. Then later, Jagger Baychak with this sweet underhand toss to Chris Lazaro to keep the lead at halftime at 6-3 Delhi. But that's when things changed. Kieran Field snipes the top of the net to give the Eagles a start to their run. Another goal from Field, plus scores from Owen Giorgio, and Dominic Hollenkamp would tie the game up at 7. And then this missile from Giorgio coming back the other way in the fourth quarter gives Husson their first lead of the game, and they never looked back. This goal from Hollenkamp to go up 4 in the fourth quarter would seal the game for Husson, and they win 12-9. As for the women, it was senior day for the Eagles, and they take on UMaine Farmington. The Eagles started hot. Avery Baker finds Kate Bumke cutting in front of the crease, and she finds the back of the net. Shortly after that, Layla Martinez makes a few nice moves on her way to the net, and she also cashes in. Reese Sullivan nets this shot to give Husson a 5-1 lead early, but not so fast as the Beavers made up for their early slump, starting with Ruby McMinnis, who fires one from point blank to make it 5-2. And then they make it 5-4 after McMinnis finds Allie Trefsker on the free position shot. Husson found that same spark from earlier, though, and Avery Baker adds another point to her season total. And then Martinez dodges and weaves her way for her third goal of the game. She would end up with 4, and the Eagles win 14-8. That's all the time we have for sports. We'll be right back after the break.
Peter Pan here. You know, I thought growing up would be the worst, but then I found a way to hack adulthood. It's called AAA. With AAA, I'm covered from roadside to poolside, and insurance and member perks that make adulting a breeze. With AAA, it pays to be a member.
When it comes to your home, go to the source. Go to R&B's Home Source in Madison. R&B's Home Source has home comfort, convenience, and savings all wrapped up in one location. From the living room to the dining room to the bedroom, we have some of the best values in furniture and bedding. For the kitchen, R&B's Home Source has top-notch appliances from fridges to ranges, even washers and dryers. And sit back and relax with quality electronics. We service everything we sell too. For your home, go to the source. R&B's Home Source, Lakewood Road, Madison.
Spring is here, and it's the perfect time to get going. Go down the Cape or up the coast. Go to town in America's all-time best-selling SUV. Go down street. Go off-road with GOAT modes in Bronco and Bronco Sport. Go everywhere. But first, go visit your New England Ford dealers today. Lease one of these great SUVs for as low as $289 a month.
Be back in a bit. Try not to burn the house down.
Guess it's
It's a good thing we got AAA.
AAA, we're always with you.
The 26th annual wheelchair basketball tournament returned to Husson University's Newman Gymnasium on Saturday. It's hosted by the Organization of Physical Therapy Students, bringing together faculty, students, wheelchair users in the community, and this year, a professional wheelchair basketball team as well.
Some of our real athletes who are playing here, and it's so fun to see them go from being able to play with their legs, their arms, to not having their legs at all, and just seeing how they understand the struggle of everyday users and just being appreciative for everything that people have, and like being able to just participate in something like this is just so fun.
Every year, the tournament functions as a fundraiser for a campus organization. This year, they raised funds for the Student Food Insecurity and Emergency Fund, helping to ensure no Husson students have to go hungry. What a nice thing.
Yeah, looks like a fun time. Yeah. Well, now here's meteorologist Devin Biggs with our full weather forecast.
Alrighty, Craig and Janessa, thank you very much. Your full weather forecast brought to you by Old Town Redemption Center, now offering a 10% bonus on your returnables and a monthly $100 drawing. Alrighty, here we go. There's that small craft advisory that is posted until 8 a.m. as we head towards your Tuesday along the coast, watching for some active surf that will be occurring with an area low pressure that will be passing through. We're seeing that starting to develop with 4-foot wave height, so it's not terrible out there. We may see more active surf occurring farther out towards sea. Still not active just quite yet, but we may see it picking up more later on. But in the meantime, we just have rainfall occurring this morning, tracking from the west and going toward the east. No lightning occurring, so that is good news. And overall, it will be a gentle rainfall that will be occurring with rising temperatures taking place today. As we do zoom things out, there's that area low pressure right there tracking off towards the east, so temperatures will be on the warming trend moving forward. So futurecasts as we move forward today, notice we'll track this rain off towards the north and east, the wind picking up too. More rain this afternoon, starting to back off into the evening time frame. Some clouds breaking up, but as we head towards tomorrow, still some clouds lingering, and even as we head towards Tuesday afternoon, we'll still watch for some more rain showers that will be on the way, possibly some thunderstorms in a few spots too as we head towards Tuesday evening. As for the rain chances, I'm just going to run this through as we head towards Wednesday morning, around a ½ inch to 3/4 of an inch in some spots before we're all finished up. Some other areas just a little bit less, and we could definitely use the rainfall too, with a good part, if not all of the state still in some form of drought. So for today, rain likely, windy, highs in the upper 50s, south wind at around 25 miles per hour. Overnight, we have mid-40s. Here we go. Rain showers early, then decreasing clouds and a southwest wind at around 20 miles per hour. Tomorrow, we have upper 60s, partly cloudy, afternoon rain showers and a light and variable wind. Let's check out your extended forecast brought to you by Old Town Redemption Center. Mostly cloudy for your Wednesday with highs in the mid-60s. Rain chances for your Thursday with highs in the low 60s. And then some more rain Friday, highs in the mid-60s.
With over 30 years of experience, Patriot General Contractors knows how to get your home renovation project done right. Our certified contractors can help you build, redesign, or finish the project of your dreams. Check out Facebook page for reviews and visit patriotgeneralcontractors.com to schedule your quote today. Patriot General Contractors, redesigning your properties for the future.
Are your gutters weighed down by debris causing them to sag and overflow? I'm Tony Hafford with TC Hafford Basement Systems. Clogged gutters lead to costly repairs for your home, so skip the cleaning and stop the clogs with Gutter Shutter. Gutter Shutter, the world's best gutter, is a high-performance gutter with a lifetime no-clog guarantee. Stop the clutter, get Gutter Shutter. Call TC Hafford Basement Systems today for all things basementy.
There are so many fun things to do in Maine. Now you can enjoy more for less. Check out half-off deals from foxbangor.com.
For the perfect floral arrangement,
Look no further than Luigi & Fredericks in Bangor. Our expert florists beautifully arrange flowers for any celebration or occasion. Trust Luigi & Fredericks for bouquets that brighten anyone's day.
There's a limited supply available. It's on sale right now. Save with half-off deals from foxbangor.com.
Pat's Pizza in Holden is not just a restaurant that serves delicious food and pizza. They also have an adjacent party and event room. Consider having your birthday or office party at Pat's Pizza. They have a pro shop and a beautiful 9-hole golf course opening in the spring. Pat's Pizza Holden.
Nothing like a day in the job to remind you how quickly life can change.
Get out of there.
Get away from the bed!
We'll stay strong.
You didn't need a passport to take a culinary trip around the world on Friday, not as long as you were at Northern Light Eastern Maine Medical Center here in Bangor. Employees, patients, and visitors were all invited to attend their multicultural food court event. They got to sample flavors from around the globe, including cuisines from Italy, Lebanon, Japan, and Mexico.
It's a wonderful way to build that, the cultural connection, understanding, awareness, and get people to come together and just eat good food and talk and laugh.
Organizers say the event was good for morale, too, and they were pleased with the turnout on Friday.
Well, I think food probably always gets people together.
Right? It's something we have in common.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Well, are you feeling lucky? A raffle in France is offering a chance to win a portrait by Pablo Picasso for the price of €100, which is equivalent to $117. All proceeds are going to Alzheimer's research. You better snag a ticket quick because the draw is taking place tomorrow at Christie's Auction House. This also isn't the first time a Picasso has been auctioned off. In 2020, the oil on canvas Nature Mort art piece was auctioned off and won by an accountant in France. The Alzheimer Research Center and Foundation is one of Paris's leading hospitals and said it has become France's private leading financer of Alzheimer-related medical research. This fundraiser, of course, lets ticket buyers get the chance to win big, but also supports a good cause at the same time.
Pretty neat. Good
Yeah.
chance to get a Picasso at your home for
Exactly.
not very much. They usually sell for millions and millions of dollars.
Well, that's all the time that we have left for this hour, but you can join us for the next hour.
Thanks for being there, everyone. We hope you have a great day.
This spring, invest in your nest with the County Federal Credit Union. Your home has grown in value season after season. With the county's 10-10 Home Equity Line of Credit, you can borrow up to your credit limit over 10 years with interest-only payments over those 10 years, 10-10. And then you can stop and smell the roses, soak up the sun, and invest in your nest. The 10-10 Home Equity Line of Credit, the County Federal Credit Union, countyfcu.org.
Here at Twin City Tire and Service, you will be working with industry professionals. We have ASE certified master technicians and certified tire and lube technicians. If we need your vehicle for a duration of time, we offer a complimentary shuttle service and can even offer a loaner vehicle. Being a client at Twin City Tire and Service means that we will treat you right. This includes a 3-year, 36,000-mile warranty on mechanical repairs. We also provide you with 1 year of complimentary roadside assistance. Come see us today at Twin City Tire and Service in Brewer.
Commercial vehicles can be dangerous, and they usually carry big insurance policies. So whether you're hurt by a landscaping truck like this, a work van like this, or a big rig like this, we know commercial vehicle accidents, and we know how to get you the big money you may deserve. If any commercial vehicle hurts you, call the Twos. We win for you.
Hurt by a commercial vehicle? Call the Twos. We win for you. Call 222-2222.
Think you're good at trivia? Arrange these holidays, these historic firsts, these animals. By the way,
I have no idea.
congratulations! You have built the perfect line! I'm Deborah Norville, and this is the perfect line.
Onion rings before, in between onion rings and pizza.
Definitely after.
This
is what happy looks like.
Weekdays at 10 on Fox 22.
Good Morning Maine on WFVX, Fox 22. Great news to the
Hello everyone. Today on Good Morning Maine, fire crews had their hands full over the weekend. One wildfire in particular was off Route 9 in Clifton.
We'll bring you that story coming up. Plus, Governor Janet Mills signed the $500 million supplemental budget. We'll have the details coming up.
And changes are coming to the Whoopie Pie Festival when it comes to parking and traffic. We'll have that story as well.
Good morning and welcome to Good Morning Maine. I'm Janessa Bishop.
And I'm Craig Colson. Thank you for joining us on this Monday morning. We hope you had a nice weekend. Ended up being great weather over the weekend.
Yes, it was awesome weather for it.
Really nice. We'll have your forecast coming up in just a few moments. We're also taking a look back at a self-defense course that Janessa took part in. No bruises on you or anything?
No bruises, but
Yeah.
it was a lot of fun, and I definitely learned a lot from